Artist Alisa Burke brings new meaning to the term prolific artist. Like, sometimes I look at her social media account and wonder if she ever runs out of ideas. When I first met Alisa, she was a guest on my TV show, Craft Lab. And at that point, I was doing like 4 episodes a day sometimes, and people kind of started to blend together after a while. But from the minute the red light went on and the camera started rolling and we started working together, I knew that Alisa was special and that she was going places. The way she fearlessly went into canvas, making marks, helped send me personally down my road of mixed media art. Several books, magazine covers, and viral posts later, it's obvious I was not alone in what I saw in Alisa. Y'all, I am Jennifer Perkins, and this is the Creative Queso Podcast, coming to you live from my closet in Austin, Texas. I love talking to fellow creatives about their business almost as much as I love going to thrift stores and gluing pom-poms on things. And if you know me, that should speak volumes. As I said, I've long been in love with the work of Alisa Burke, from her murals. Like, if you've ever seen pictures of her house, it looks like every wall, even her deck and patio is gorgeous. Her sketchbooks full of florals, everything she touches is gorgeous. Alisa has been a full-time artist for over a decade, but the funny thing is she doesn't really make a living in the traditional sense of paint a picture, sell a picture, paint a picture, sell a picture. And that is a lesson for other artists to learn in this episode. Alisa has multiple streams of income for her business, including digital downloads, creative consulting, even pottery and hosting in-person retreats at her home on the Oregon coast. However, her main income stream are online classes. In this episode, we go really deep about all 90 of the classes Alisa has to offer. Since I'm about to dip my own toe deeper into the world of video, I went all in, quizzing her about teaching platforms, cameras, pricing, editing, and more. Lucky for me and lucky for you, Alisa is very generous with all of her information, and I walked away feeling really inspired and ready to make my own videos, and hopefully you will too. In my experience, creatives who are just as good at marketing and social media are the ones that get to do their craft full time. Alisa is the primary breadwinner at her house. I'm not, there's no spouse in the background with a full-time job paying the mortgage and covering the health insurance. I'm raising my hand. I'm one of those people. At this house, it's all Alisa all the time, and her family would not want it any other way. All right. Grab the chips and dips, and let's do this. Hello, Alisa, and thank you for joining me.
Yay, thank you for having me.
I am excited you're here. I was thinking back. I like to kind of start all the episodes thinking about how do I know this person or where have I met this person? And we go all the way back to the days of Craft Lab. That's where we first met, right?
Yes,
When was that? What year was that?
I don't know what year it was, but it was a long time ago. It feels like forever.
It must have been because Tallulah was born 2009, so it must have been
before that.
2007.
Yeah.
Or 6.
Yeah.
How many episodes were you on?
I was just on one, and I kind of think it never aired. I don't know.
No.
I was waiting for it to air, and then something happened with the DIY network, and I think I was just on one, if I recall.
Did you never see it? You've never seen your episode?
I never saw it. And I thought, oh my gosh, when it airs, it's my big day. I never saw it, but that's okay. I don't need to see it. I like to watch myself anyway. So
if it makes you feel any better, I've literally seen 2 or 3 episodes of the entire show, and I did 120 of them.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. But yeah, that's where we met.
It is. No, I distinctly remember because they were shuffling people in and out. I was filming 4 episodes a day some days, but I remember you stood out. I was like, that girl, she's got star power. I know that girl's going to go
And you
somewhere.
know what's funny is my husband was an extra for our project
Oh, I
on
remember
set,
that.
so even he was in it. It's
I
really
forgot.
cool.
Well, we had my husband in one too, one with Kathy Conamario. She
Uh-huh.
came on and they needed, I forgot what we called them, like the backup extra crafters that
Yeah.
sat
Yeah.
around. And of course, Kathy was doing some glitter project. So, he sat over there and slyly pretended to make a glitter project.
Cool. That was a long time. It feels like forever to me. It feels like a really long time ago.
I know. And then I even like wholesaled some of your jewelry when I had Naughty Secretary Club.
Yes, that's
I still
right.
have some of your purses.
Oh my gosh. I forgot about that. That's right.
See, I was like,
Right.
I was like going down memory lane with you. I was like,
Yeah.
all the ways that I've known you through the
It's
years.
been a long time, huh? It's been a
It
really long
has.
time.
It
Yeah.
has been a long time. I even remember seeing like I don't even know if your book had come out, but I remember being in Ohio at Northlight to
Yeah.
photograph the stuff for my book, and I think
Yeah.
you had just been there
Yeah.
maybe, or and I saw pictures from Canvas Remix. That's it, right? That's what it's
Yeah.
called?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah, I remember seeing pictures of it. So,
That's what that those were the good old days. I feel
I
like
know.
that's where it all kind of started for me. So, oh my gosh. That's crazy.
I gotta bring it back for everybody that's listening
I know it.
so
I
they know how we
know.
know each other.
Yeah.
But even then, like, I think you have always had a very, like, distinct style, like,
Yeah.
even you know what I mean? Like, you've always,
Yeah.
like, always been you, like, I can remember, the things you did, the things I wholesaled from you, the things you did on the show, and your style is different now, but it
Yeah.
was still similar. You still always had, like, your aesthetic and your
Yeah.
vibe. Has it always been that way for you?
Yeah, and it was always like because I have a real traditional arts education, and I was always that person in class where I felt like all my stuff was totally weird and everybody else's was normal, like the way it was. But like
Mhm.
I just kind of think a little bit different. I don't interpret things, which is good. So yeah, I've always kind of done that, and I've always really stayed away from looking at other people's stuff. So while I like to connect like on a personal level with other artists, I kind of don't look at stuff as best I can because it just clogs my brain up. So those are probably kind of two. I'm probably just a little off, quirky. And I just don't look at what other people are doing, so I don't know if what I'm doing fits into anything. So yeah,
No.
it's worked for me though. I can honestly say that. So
Yeah, I was listening to you on a different, podcast. What's that podcast called?
yes, yeah,
The Creative Habit? Is that what that
yes,
podcast is
yes,
called?
yes, yes, yeah,
Yeah, I was listening to that actually this morning, and I heard you say, like, telling the story of putting your stuff up in art class and always feeling like, "Which one of these is not like the
yep,
others?"
yep.
And I was, like, sitting there, like, thinking to myself, like, "Girl, I feel you. Story of my
Yep.
life."
Yeah, and I think at the time those experiences can be really uncomfortable, but I think I got used to that discomfort to the point where I'm like, I guess I just own this. Like
Right?
I guess it's okay. And a lot of times my grades actually in as an art major suffered because of that. But now looking back, I'm like, who cares? I was doing my thing, and it's paid off now in the end. So
Yeah, exactly,
who
like,
cares?
who gets the last laugh, sucker?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't take any of that too much to heart. I heard an interview with, gosh, I can't think of what her name is, but she does The Jealous Curator. You know what I'm talking
Yes.
about?
Yeah. Yeah. She's great.
Y
Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome, and I think it was an interview with Ashley Longshore, and she was saying that, like, in art class, like, her art professors kinda criticized her collage work
Yeah.
and kinda shut her down, and that's how she got into, like, curating as opposed to ever creating herself,
Yeah.
because she took that so to heart and how it's taken her even till now to kinda get back into collage.
Yeah.
So it's like, I understand I didn't I don't have an art degree, I have a psych degree, but,
Yeah.
so, like, I understand that, like, they're trying to help you, but sometimes when I hear these, like, art school stories, I'm just like, "What? I'm so sorry, I just wanna hug you and pat you."
Yeah. There's sort of I don't want to say traumatic, but in a weird way, creatively traumatic, where I think it can keep a lot of people from actually pursuing a creative career. Like you go in thinking, I'm following my heart, I'm going to be an artist. And then once you get into actual like the structure of education, it kind of the two sometimes don't feel like they go together. And it's like a wake up call. Like there were many times I thought about changing my major and I'm like, no, I like it too much. I like art. So yeah, it can be easy to go just give up on all of it because of that. So
Yeah.
I'm
What would
glad
you
I
say
didn't.
if your daughter was like, I want a degree in art? What would you say? Would you be like, dun,
Well,
dun,
I
dun?
mean, well, I don't know if I'd say this out loud, but I'm not a big supporter of college unless at this point, unless you want to be like a doctor, or lawyer, you have like
Mm-hmm.
something really specific. But when it comes to art and music and all the creative arts, I kind of feel like just go do it. So I would tell her,
Right.
as long as you don't go to college and rack up a giant student debt bill, then I'd be totally fine with it. But
Ex-
she
ex-
wants to be a veterinarian, so
well, I mean, all kids her age want to be a
I know.
veterinarian. That was Tallulah's dream. I think currently she wants to be a professional drag queen. I don't know.
Ooh,
It
I like
changes.
that. I
I
like
know, right? We're in here
awesome.
practicing our James Charles eyeshadow. Thank God I
Oh,
never
that's
threw away
amazing.
all the MAC makeup from the 90s that I had. It's coming real handy now.
That's amazing. Oh wow.
So, okay, well, I want to jump into speaking of giant bets or
Yeah.
debts for
Yeah.
college.
Oh geez. Yeah.
I want to jump right into the dollar bills. So,
Yeah.
I was going through your YouTube channel, and so you have a
Hmm.
video all about like making money,
Hmm.
and it sounded from your video the same story as my story and a lot of the solopreneurs that it's like when you like have a gig like you have or I have, it's really kind of like 15 arty side hustles that make one career.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I was like trying to think of all the things that you do.
Yeah.
You got classes, books, retreats, digital products, physical products,
Yeah.
you do consulting.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts like? What are your pearls of wisdom about having so many multiple income streams if you want to kind of make a living in this
Yeah.
crafty,
Well,
artsy industry?
I think, I mean, on one hand, when I really step back and look at it, I kind of go, okay, is this okay? Like I do a lot of evaluating things over time and how I want to work. And it can be exhausting to have multiple streams and different irons in the fire, but it's kind of the way my brain works. And it's got to be the way a lot of creatives work. Like I sort of have creative ADD where I enjoy not necessarily bouncing around, but I like having different projects happening simultaneously. So when I started building all this, it was built off of a side hustle where I was just always trying to find what would bring money in, enough money so I could quit that day job back in the day. And I think when it actually did grow and evolve, I just kind of kept that mentality of I enjoy doing different things. And
Mhm.
I get a little, I wouldn't say bored, but maybe a little burnt out. If I just teach classes, I start to get burnt out and I want to make art. And if I'm making
Mhm.
art, I might as well sell it. If I'm
Right?
selling it, I might. So, well, I think it's not for everybody. And I would probably hesitate like telling solopreneurs or entrepreneurs to have that structure. Um, I think if it works for your personality and your work ethic and what the energy levels you have,
Mhm.
it can work well because creatively it keeps me inspired. So, like I'm in the middle of filming online classes right now. And by the end of the experience, I'll be super burnt out. But I have other projects to kind of offset that feeling that
Mhm.
I just kind of get to the end of filming and editing because I do it all myself where I'm like, I just want to make art. And so then I'll have everything set up where I'll be making products for Christmas that I'll have on hand. And it just kind of gets my brain back in the flow state or getting away from being
Mhm.
burnt out. I just get bored and certain tasks can be just not very creative. So it's not for everybody. I will say that. And at times I kind of go, is this the right way to be running a business. But so far it's worked for me and I enjoy myself doing it. And I'm able to kind of tweak and bring in um, different types of streams of income. There's certain ways I have to work in order to make money creating online classes. And then there's other things I can do that are a little bit less intense or stressful. And so for me, it's kind of a nice, like, bouncing around.
Mm-hmm.
But, somebody who's like a business consultant would probably be like, that's not a good way to run a business. I don't know, but it really works for me. So I'm happy doing it. It's not out of necessity. It's actually out of like enjoyment. So
Well, and that's the most important thing at the end of the
yeah,
day.
yeah,
Whether it's like textbook right or wrong, if you're happy, it's
yeah,
paying, you know what I mean? It's paying your
exactly.
bills. And if you
Exactly.
and I'm the same way. I get like, one minute I'm a podcaster, the next minute I want to do videos, and the day after that I want to write a blog. Like
Yeah,
I've never been able to just like,
yeah,
this is my one thing that I
yeah,
do,
yeah,
for better or for worse.
yeah. I understand that. I think that's okay too. I think especially when it comes to creative careers, I think sometimes you do need to kind of pivot and evolve. I think creativity looks a lot different from just like standard business, types of jobs or entrepreneurial situations. So I think creatively, sometimes you need that to stay creative.
Hmm.
That's the way my
No,
process works. But
you
I
do,
don't
and
know.
it's, and even within your own wheelhouse of products that you offer, like I noticed, for instance, that you have like coloring books and downloadable
Yeah.
coloring sheets. Well, 5 years ago, I bet you couldn't keep those in stock,
Right.
and
Right.
now they're like not as
Yep.
popular, but you have other things, you have other things to offset that. I was talking with a friend this weekend about people that have built their entire business off of enamel pens,
Yeah.
which are so popular right now. And I mean, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I love enamel pens, but enamel pens aren't going to stay
Right.
crazy popular forever. So if
Right.
that's like you're only paying your bills through enamel
Right.
pens, it's like y'all need to be thinking of a backup plan,
Yeah.
like some other
And a backup
things.
plan for the backup plan.
Exactly. If you want to stay full time doing this,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you need to expand. So has there ever been any one of those income streams that you were like, this just isn't working at all? Like, I'm going to kick this component to the curb? Or do you always kind of like
Um,
tweak it and just maybe don't push it as hard?
yeah, for me, my biggest income is teaching. So online classes are where that's where I put most of my energy.
Hmm.
So I haven't yet had to step away from that. But I did step away from teaching live just because teaching virtually just made sense for me from a budget standpoint. But no, I think I'm always pivoting and kind of tweaking things. I would say the one thing for now I've kicked to the curb is actually working with companies and not other people, not necessarily artists, but bigger companies, bigger opportunities, those types of things where I'm signing contracts. I just have had so many literally terrible experiences where I'm like, why do I keep thinking I need to be working for that person or licensing this or that? And so I've kind of kicked that to the curb for now. And
Hmm.
it seems to work quite well for me. I tend to have the most success and I'm happiest when it's just me setting out a goal. And, if I feel like I want to have a product and a manufactured product or something like that, I just want to be the one doing the legwork to get it made. I don't think I want to be at this point working with companies who control that stuff. And I've kicked that to the curb. I kicked it real quick where I just couldn't do it anymore. It just wasn't working. So the rest of the decisions I make, if something fails or falls short, I just pivot. I have a
Hmm.
million other ideas for every idea that falls short or doesn't do well. Or sometimes I'm kind of ahead of what people want. So I'll leave something available and then like 3 years later all of a sudden it's really popular. So
Hmm.
that kind of patience. And again, that's where I kind of try a bunch of different things as well, and I'm willing to have a few things going at the same time so I can really read the market, figure out what people want. It's hard when you just have one thing and you just stare straight at that one thing. But when you have 5, you can kind of get a good idea of what is going to work or what you can tweak. But definitely right now, and it could change, I won't work with most companies. It has to be really, really exceptional for me at this point. So that's my,
Interesting.
yeah, I
You
know.
know,
It's,
and a lot of people, well, I mean, I say that because like a lot of people feel like that's the ultimate gold star to
yeah,
have like I mean, I know I did when I
yeah,
first got started. Like if a company wanted to work with you, it's like, "What?
yeah.
You want to work
Wow.
with little old
Yeah.
me?" But then after
Yeah.
a while you're like, "Dude, I'm chasing paychecks. I got to
Yep.
work within these parameters. They're
Yep.
wanting me to tweak something and then there's so
Yeah.
much contracts and yeah, I mean, I think kind of the more established you get, the more you're just like, "Oh."
Yeah. It's a lot to manage and it's a lot.
You're
Yeah.
just like, I don't have time for that." Like,
Yeah, I'm
no.
sort of one of those people though. Again, like when it comes to my art, I've kind of always felt like the weird one. And when it comes to business, I sometimes feel that way too, where I kind of go the opposite of where everybody else is going, only because I just haven't had good experiences. I'm like, well, I guess I won't be that artist working with a big licensing contract because mine completely failed and flopped. So it's, yeah, it's kind of, it's the opposite of what most people are striving for. But for me, it works just great, actually. So
Well, yeah, and I think sometimes, like, that's the thing. I think you're one of those people that's like a package deal. Like, you've got your style, you've got your art, and you also know how to
yeah,
market those things
yeah,
and know
yeah,
what works for your audience. And I think sometimes when you work with companies, like I've had this happen in my own personal experience because my stuff too is often kind of left of center, that it's like, they don't quite know how to market it the right way or to the right
yeah,
people, and it's just like, "Well, yeah, I coulda told you those people aren't gonna like it or think it's, like, totally weird," like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you gotta go with this way, like, and these
yeah,
people in this audience, like, they just maybe they like the art, but they don't exactly get the idea of how to
exactly.
market that
Yeah,
art. So
exactly. Yeah, I feel you. I exactly.
So besides working with, like, another company, because clearly you don't wanna do that,
Not
is
right
there
now.
any not right now. Is there anything else that you would like to add to your list, like a podcast or, like, I
Yeah,
don't know, I say TV
yeah,
show, but I guess that would be another
I do.
company.
I actually do have a little scheme for something like that. But I'm really happy with what I've got going. Like it's taken me, so it's been 11 years since I walked away from my day job, and I've been maintaining like a really steady income. I have a really, really loyal like customer and fan base going. So it's like I feel like it's taken me this whole time to really get a good formula for the way that I do things. So I'm pretty happy with what I've got. I think I just want to like fine tune things, maybe bring more products in, stuff that's a little bit more passive where I'm not having to, I don't know. I mean, I love making handmade things, but I do a lot of like staying up at night glazing pottery that I'll sell for Black Friday sales or things that take a lot
Mhm.
of time and kind of a toll on my personal life. So it's probably just fine tuning and kind of figuring a little bit more passive ways to do things. I love social media. I love YouTube. I love kind of that whole world. So there's a lot of like small goals. I would love to have some kind of a little DIY TV, like YouTube kind of thing going on. I'm really into free content, and I love being able to create free content, and it supports the rest of the stuff that I do. So yeah, probably more live classes in my studio, which go really well. They're just a lot of work to do. Um,
Mhm.
but right now I'm feeling for the first time the last couple of years pretty good about what I've got. And I'm kind of like, okay, I'm going to just enjoy this for a little bit. Just the stability of knowing kind of a formula and then start to just tweak and fine tune things because, nothing lasts forever. You got to change and evolve and go where media is going and where people are hanging out online. I'm sure Instagram will go away someday. We're gonna have to
Yeah.
learn something new, and so yeah. Right now, it's weird because I'm a huge goal driven person, um, but I don't have like a bunch of giant goals for my current business. I just want to fine tune it and get it like really, really working quite well where I'm not, you know, bending over backwards every day to get stuff
Mhm.
done, that type of thing. So, yeah.
How passive you mentioned that, your online classes, I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's your kind of the bread and butter,
Yeah.
like, that's
Yep.
what does well for y'all.
Right.
How passive are those classes? Like, for someone, like, let's say, like, I wanted to do an
Yeah.
online class, like, how passive is passive? Like, once it's done, is it, like, done? Like, they
Yeah.
click a button and it downloads, or how hands-on are you on those? Are they
Yeah,
different?
once it's done, it's done. And it's a lot of work to get it done, but it's, I've got like a library of over 90 online classes people can take.
Wow.
So the most work, my husband works with me to kind of do all the technical stuff. So it's basically sending an email for your access and then people come and go as they please. So I haven't set them up where I'm interacting or critiquing work. It's basically like, you work at your own pace with all the stuff that I've got on the private class website. So they're pretty passive after they're done.
Okay.
We do a lot of like little upkeep and tweaks on all the sites and that kind of the classes and that type of thing. But it's pretty darn passive, and I'm really happy that I didn't know what I was getting into with this. I just thought teaching online was a way more economic option for customers who are on a limited budget, which is huge part of my business philosophy as an artist. Like I want to have affordable artwork. I want to have affordable options. And so making the decision to teach online classes, I just wanted to give people a cheap opportunity to take an online class. And it's really evolved and changed into great passive income after you get the whole thing done, which is a ton of work. But it ends up just, I'm able to sell them at any time. And it's quite nice. It's
No,
quite nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
and when I heard that you said you had 90, I was like, "Dang,
Yeah.
girl."
Yeah, I've been making them for almost 10 years now. So it's been, I got on board before anybody was really, there's just a handful of us doing that. And they've changed and evolved with technology. And I've been able to, do all kinds of fun things with them. So yeah, I've got a lot. There's a lot of
No,
them.
but that's amazing. Yeah, do you
Yeah.
find that do you get a lot of I'm taking this, like, online class with, Kathy Heller from
Uh-huh.
Don't Keep Your Day Job, that
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
and, she talks about, like, nurturing your audience as opposed to always being so worried about, like, growing and reaching new people. Do you
Yeah.
find that like, every time you take a class, like, what's the ratio of, like, new people you've never seen before versus, like, your regulars that take every single one of your classes?
I'd say it's probably like 50-50. I mean, it's constantly evolving with my social media following. So,
Mhm.
I have just a nice, solid social media situation going on with Instagram where I've just grown my students from that place. So I'd say in the last couple years, I've got a lot of new people, but then I have also about half of them are just long time loyal, wonderful people who will literally take every class I put out there. And I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. And I love these people. They've come to my live classes. They're people that have actually turned into friends and stuff, so
Uh-huh.
I'd say it's like 50-50 kind of like, I'm always getting new people, but I'm always getting my loyal peeps out there. And I love them. Shout out to them.
Shout out to the loyal peeps.
To the loyal
Now,
peeps. Yeah.
do you use like I was just curious about all your online
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah.
You mentioned you did all your editing and all
Yes.
your own filming. What kind of camera do you use? I'm in the market for a camera.
So I have a bunch of cameras. I have a Canon 80D right now that I love. It's kind of the camera that all the YouTube vloggers love to use. And it's expensive, but it's worth it. But I have like a Canon Rebel that I'll use just for little B-roll shots, things,
Mhm.
little video film that I put in. I'll use my iPhone for certain things, but my Canon 80D is what I film these days on.
Mostly. I keep
And
hearing about the Canon Mark
yeah, those
G
are nice
something
too.
something.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some good cameras out there. Technology has changed, which makes it really easy to do it yourself, in my opinion. There's, great cameras with great quality that are user friendly. Yeah, but
Mhm.
mine's an ADD, and I have a really simple setup. I tell people, like, a lot of times when I give advice to people with money and prices and all that stuff, like, it's so important for me. I do it myself so I can keep my prices low. And that's probably not going to change for me anytime soon, just because I feel so strongly about providing decent, like, affordable content, for a class. So I guess someday if I wanted to, like, up the whole situation I have going on, I could hire videographers and, editors and all that stuff. But for me, I've got, like, this formula just down. I've got my camera, my lights, my tripod,
Yeah.
and I just create, the exciting part is the content, is the stuff that I put together in those classes. It's not necessarily like fancy shots and beautiful music and
Mhm.
scenic landscapes. It's like we are creating a lot of art in all of my classes. So
Well, and I think sometimes, I mean, first of all, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, as they
no,
say.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
I think sometimes, like, I don't need to pay extra for fluff,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
like, in artsy side shots of you, like, thinking deeply, like, looking
right.
off into space, like,
Oh,
you know what
right.
I mean? Like, if
Yeah,
it's gonna take money off the end, just show me
yeah,
how to paint because that's what I'm here
exactly.
for anyway. No.
Exactly. Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate that. So do you use a platform like Skillshare or Teachable, or there's one, it's not kohlrabi. I know that's a vegetable, but it kinda sounds like that. It starts with a K.
So what I've been using for years, and someday I'll change it, but every time I go to change it, I get a little nervous. So I use private websites. So I use TypePad still, and
Okay.
each class is set up in a private website where they get a password and a login, and they can come and go from it. So I set it up. My classes look a lot like my blog that I have, but just tons of video, step out projects that all go along with whatever the subject matter is. So there's all kinds of fancy platforms out there for online classes. And once again, I just haven't had a lot of good luck with signing into something that I don't have complete control over.
Mhm.
Things just seem to age out with technology. So right now it's working. I know someday I'll probably change it a little bit, but yeah, I just use a private website. So, like, TypePad allows you, and WordPress would allow you this too, I believe, the ability to, create a private site, and then you can design it. So I know how to do basic HTML coding and from behind the scenes like that. And I just get it all looking like I want it. I just need a place to host all the videos that I create for those classes. So
And then just
that's
hit
what I'm
go.
doing. Yeah. Yep. And for me,
So
it works.
now I can't imagine that at some point in your creative career that somebody like Craftsy or Blueprint Now or Creative Live hasn't approached you about doing a class. Like, why the decision to always do it yourself?
Um, so a lot of people haven't approached me. I will say that.
Hmm.
But then there's a few that have, and I've actually said no. I For now, it just hasn't been the right situation.
Mhm.
I wish I had a better answer, and I wish I could give better advice with that, because I'm a yes person. I usually say yes to most stuff. Um, but yeah, I will say I haven't had a lot of people approach me for those types of things. There's been a few, and they just haven't been the right timing and the right situation.
Mhm.
And honestly, the right money. If we're being really open, I do quite well with the way that I do it. And when I have been approached, it just, from the money side, it's kind of like, wow, it's a lot of work. And I have to do that work differently than I do it
Uh-huh.
for my own platform and what I do. And I don't have control over what it costs or how people are involved. So it's
Mhm.
really the
And
right.
it's just a little percentage. It's not like
Yeah, which it's not all about money for me, but my classes are real. They have a lot of content for what you're paying. So a $20 class has a crazy amount of videos and content in them. And it just hasn't made sense for me yet. And it could, the right opportunity comes my way, I would absolutely say yes to stuff like that, but just hasn't been the right fit. And I'm one of those people that goes with my gut, I'm like, read the
Mm-hmm.
email, read the situation, like, just not feeling this.
No, I hear you. I mean, it's not like people have been, like, beating down my doors. The only like, I had a thing with I was gonna do Craftsy slash
Yeah.
Blueprint, and Baxter was, like, 6 weeks old, and they
Yeah.
were gonna fly down here
Yeah.
and, like, film me, and I was just like, "Ugh," like, I really want to. I was gonna teach a small business class, but I was like, "I got a brand new baby,"
Yeah.
like, that like, it's nursing, like, every 4 seconds,
Yeah.
like, I just you know what
Yeah.
I mean? I was just like, "I don't know if this is
Yeah.
gonna work." Like, yeah, you just kinda sometimes know, like
And I
and
think
plus, like
that oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry. You're good.
No, I was just gonna say, like, why it's kinda like we go back to that thing about, like, how to market it and your
Yeah.
audience, and it's like, why farm that stuff out? Like, you've got a
Yeah.
formula that's, like, working and your people know where to find it, and you're not gonna be mixed in with 15 other classes by other people.
Exactly. Yeah, and it just goes for me, it's that same theme of I just don't tend to have or I haven't, and that doesn't mean I won't in the future. I believe anything can change and something great can be wonderful working with a company. But I'm literally telling you, it's like it's happened enough times where I've gone, I think somebody's trying to tell me something. Like I think
Right?
I'm supposed to just perfect what I have and do really good at what I have in front of me. And maybe the right people will see me and work with me in the right way. So it's that same theme for me where I kind of am like, I like kind of being that I wouldn't say indie, but just I'm not in that mix where I sometimes I don't want to work with a big company that has all these investors. And I kind of go, well, you're gonna get like a little indie with Alisa if you take a class, and if you take a class from a big website, you're gonna get something different, and it just isn't the right fit yet.
Mhm.
Someday
Well,
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe you just keep on keeping on because
Exactly.
it seems to be working. Have you with all the content and stuff, have you always had YouTube videos as well? Because you touched on this briefly about the free content, but you
Yeah.
have so much free. You are such a prolific blogger, and then you've got the
Yeah.
YouTube, and then Instagram with like, and I'm not talking like a one sentence cute little quip. Like you are writing like heartfelt captions.
Yeah. It's so I YouTube has been something the last like 3 years I've just kind of is like my fun hobby. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm big into free content, and it totally ties into my business. So I feel like creatively my mission, I really want to inspire people. I love when people are not ready to draw or paint, but they're could. So I did, and I love it. I just that brings me tons of joy. So I feel like it's really important to provide free content because there's so many people. There's like a catch where like, oh, you can only learn this if you pay for this, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not one of those people. I was pretty poor growing up, and my parents were potters, so there was a lot of struggle. I kind of got to take art classes when they had money, and it's so much a part of my brain. I don't think I can ever like be that person that's gonna charge you admission for my secrets. you
Mm-hmm.
can you can pay admission for some really great classes, but I also feel like it's kind of my mission to also give that stuff away in my own way. There's lots of stuff I don't give away, but so yeah, I like using those platforms. And then if you like me on a platform and you're willing to join me as a customer, then awesome. And that's the way I've built my entire gig, and it works quite well, and it makes me feel good, like have happy thoughts inside when I do it.
Makes you feel all warm and squishy.
It really does. It really makes me like, I'm always trying to figure out how can I be of service? What can I do in this world? I'm just an artist, and what I can do is give people inspiration and, that kind of thing. And if they want to come along for the journey with paid opportunities, that's okay too. So I've got
Well,
both,
you're so prolific. It's almost like you need all the places to
I
put it
do.
out there.
Yeah.
You're just like you strike me as one of those people, like, it's not just for the camera, that you're just, like, kinda constantly, like,
Yes. Yeah.
doing or making, and, like, I mean, I get you, I'm the same way, like, my kids will be like, "Can't you just sit and watch a show?" And I'm like,
Oh,
"No," because I've always gotta be like, or
yeah.
I'm drawing, or I'm gluing, or I'm, like, doing this, or I'm doing that, like, I just can't, like, and you seem
Yep.
like you're that person too, like, you're
Yep.
gonna be arting anyway, might as
And
well put it on.
that's my whole life has been that way since I was a kid. I was that kid locked in my room making things out of trash and drawing and, like every moment of my life, this is just me. Like
Right.
if I had to go back to work, like I had a job 11 years ago, I'd still be doing this. I wouldn't just for fun, a lot of it. So now I've had to figure out how to turn it into a profitable business because it pays our bills at this point. And, but there's all like YouTube is just fun for me. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, I want to be on all the platforms, do all the stuff, but this is kind of like just a fun little thing to grow my channel. And then Instagram, it's fun, but it's also part of marketing and branding. So I try to have both, but yeah, I'd be doing
Mhm.
this if nobody was around. I'd be
I
doing
mean
crazy things.
exactly. Like, I was telling this story not long ago that, like, there's a friend of mine in the industry that was saying, like, "I'm gonna retire," and I was like, But would you be doing this stuff anyway? Like, would you
Yeah.
be sitting around crafting anyway?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, then why don't you get paid for it? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna wanna take a picture and put it on the internet.
Yeah.
Like, you might if you can get paid for it, like, why not? Like, you
Yeah.
might as well. You're gonna do it
Yeah.
anyway."
Totally. Totally.
So, with YouTube, I don't know how it works exactly are you to the point where you can get money from ads? Like, I know they switched it. Like, you have to have a certain amount of views or subscribers or somethings
Yeah,
or
YouTube's a little funny right now. So they changed their ad program, so it is harder to make money on YouTube, and the money that you can make is like minimal. It's like nothing. It's pennies. And I don't have a lot of subscribers, so I think I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, which was my goal. It's all I wanted. Um, but I just use it as another marketing platform. So if you watch a 1-minute video of mine on Instagram, you can go to my YouTube channel and see just a longer version of the process. So even though I'm not making direct sales from like ads on YouTube, that type of thing, I really see it as just like another platform
Mhm.
to connect with people, that type of thing. So I'm always filming all of my content. Like pretty much everything I make gets filmed. And I, use, the longer version for YouTube. I might use clips from that video for an online class in the future. I'll throw it up on Instagram. I'll put it on my blog. So the content I'm making it anyway, so I'm going to film it and then I can break that into like 4 different things in my business and for fun cuz it's fun too.
Mhm. Well, you
doing
might
videos.
as well. I mean, that's the way to repackage it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, if you're gonna
absolutely.
film it, it's like, put it on all the places, all the platforms, use it all the ways.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, this is all do as I say, not as I do. This would
yeah,
also involve me.
yeah,
Before we got started and I pressed go, I was saying that there isn't enough dry shampoo to help me right now.
yeah.
So me, like, doing these things, I'm like, "But that would involve makeup
I know.
and washing my hair." Like, oh.
I know. It is. And I mean there's days like I don't get dressed for days in a row, but so those are the days I only film my hands, making something or yeah, so
I think I'm scarred for life from, like, all those years of, like, TV and then the
totally.
Facebook Live things, like, getting ready. Do I have an outfit? Like, blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, "Don't make me get dressed. Let me just sit here in this dumpy T-shirt that I've had since 1993."
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work actually getting all that stuff ready. I feel you. That's yeah.
I know, but you always look cute in your
Oh, thank you.
videos.
I try. I try.
You definitely always do. So, another thing that you do, like I mentioned this real quick, is that you still blog a lot, and you hear people go back and forth about like blogging is dead, blogging is that, and even I go back and forth like, should I be putting like stuff on my blog, more stuff, less stuff? But then if I don't blog, then what am I going to talk about the other places? But you're still blogging like how
Yeah.
many days a week?
I mean, up until last year, it was 5 days a week for the last almost 15 years, and I
Oh my
finally was like,
gosh.
I gotta pull back a little bit because people aren't hanging out on blogs anymore, but my content, I have a huge following on Pinterest. So, a lot of times I had to really rethink, like, I started feeling like, "Oh, my blog is failing. I've spent so many years on this, and now nobody's reading blogs. They're all on Instagram now." And I had to like just pause and go, okay, let's not get discouraged. Let's just reframe the whole thing. So, um, I still blog because I've got longtime readers and I think that they're still relevant. I think when people say blogging is dead, I think there's still a place for it and it might come back. I feel like there could be a comeback.
I do too. I feel like there's this like pendulum swing of everything was like
Totally.
short and
Totally.
quippy, and now people long for this like long
Yes.
form, like
Yes.
podcasts and commenting on blogs. And
So I still use it. I post maybe 3 times a week now, 2 times a week, and some of
mhm.
it's not as intense as it used to be. I mean, I was doing DIYs like 5 days a week, and I had to pull back because I can't make all these classes and do all the DIYs and do all this free content. So now it's about 2 or 3 times a week, and it's just I don't know, I've tweaked my formula a little bit and sharing the art I'm working on or behind the scenes or DIY here and there. But I actually, anything I share on my blog goes straight up on Pinterest and gets
Mhm.
shared a lot. So I've tried to use a lot of my blog content now on Instagram because there's a lot of people that don't know I have a blog. So I've started turning my DIY tutorials from the past into shareable content for Instagram. So step outs and that kind of thing that are easier to read in one
Mhm.
little picture. So, but yeah, I still blog. I might be crazy doing it, but
No, I don't think you
I love
are.
it. I enjoy it. I actually still really enjoy it. So
Well, and it goes to Pinterest is like as a search engine, like a big traffic driver for
yeah,
other things. And then I
yeah,
go back and forth on, well, if I don't have new things on my website, then I don't have new things to pin.
exactly.
Is that where your head kind of goes? Like, I
Yeah,
need to have, even if it's not just for the blog, sometimes I'm thinking like in game, like, well, I
yep,
need it for Pinterest just as
yep,
much as anything, like pictures of Christmas trees. Well,
yeah,
if I don't put it on my website to put it onto Pinterest, like, where's it
yeah.
going to go? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like,
And I think creatively, I feel like sometimes it's a little bit I don't know, like, oh, do you say that out loud? Like, okay, people, I am blogging because this needs to get pinned because that's how I run my business. I think sometimes people just think, oh, you blog because you really want to be blogging. And I love to blog, but there is a marketing angle to things and
mhm.
sharing. And I think as creatives and artists in a world that's changing really quickly, I think it's important to say that stuff out loud because I don't think a lot of people realize blogging
Mm-mm.
might feel like it's dead, but putting current content up on your website somewhere other than Instagram enables you to have it live in other places, which is going to be good for growing whatever you're trying to grow. Like Instagram's great, but again, I don't know how long it's going to be around. And
It'll go bye-bye
yeah,
eventually.
for
I know
sure.
so many
So,
people, like, living their life only on the Instagram, and I'm
yeah.
like, "Dude, one day Instagram."
Yeah, but if you've got a website or some space with content that maybe the same kinds of content can live, then it's good long term, and
Right?
I think it's
Spread it
important to say that
around.
out loud too, because I think a lot of people are trying to figure it all out. Like they just exist on Instagram and it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know about that. I think you might need to exist in other places if it's a business. So
No, I totally agree, and I think it's great to say those kinds of things out loud because I think sometimes, there's still those people that are like, you know, you go back to the, like, artists should be, like,
yeah,
poor and wanna give it away and a this and a that, and it's like,
yeah,
you get to a point where it's like, "Dude, I got kids and a
yep,
family and
yep,
people
yeah,
wanting to take aerial silks class that costs a
yeah,
gazillion dollars." Like, when you said, like, when my parents, like, when sometimes we could do this and sometimes we couldn't do that, like, I mean, I live that life all the time. I'm sure you do
Yeah.
too. It's like,
Yeah.
well, this month mommy's got a gig with so and so. So yeah, you
Right.
can take that camp. Next month I
Right.
may not. So no, we're not going out to dinner. Like that's just the
Yeah.
way of being a solopreneur. Like it waxes and it wanes.
It really does, and I think I'm happy more people talk about the money side of it because I feel like art and the creative jobs are kind of that one last thing where people think you should be doing it for free,
Mhm.
and we all have to make a living, and this is how a lot of us do. So I think it's important to have those conversations for sure,
Well, exactly,
for
and that's
sure.
like saying authors should, like, give away their books, musicians should
Right,
give away their music. It's just like,
right,
well, that all sounds great in theory, but
yeah, yeah,
it doesn't work. I was gonna bring this up too, speaking of money, that it's like, my husband and I have this conversation a lot that, people may think like me, like, oh, it's so awesome you make a living off of being creative and crafty and this and that. But like for me, the truth is, I have a husband who has a
right,
full-time job, which also, really pays the mortgage,
right,
pays for health insurance for
right.
sure, but then someone like you, like you're really doing it. You're like full kit and caboodle. Like it is all art all the time to pay the bills. Like Andy works for you, right? Like
Yeah. Oh,
he's
yeah.
part of the business.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
how's that pressure working out for you?
It's intense. I mean, but I I actually it fuels my creativity in a really weird
Mhm.
way. So, he quit his job 7 years ago, and, at first we kinda were like, "Let's see how it works," he can go back to work, but now that we're in it, it's like, you kind of feel like, "Why would I change this? We have so much flexibility," but it is a lot of work, and it is not for the faint of heart. We pay for our health insurance, we pay for everything. And at this point, we don't have employees. It's family who works for me when I need work done, and we're paying family members, that type of thing. So it's intense. It's pretty intense, but I can honestly say so far it's working, and I don't mind the pressure most of the time, but there are days there are days
No, I'm
when
sure.
we get like a hospital bill or an urgent care bill, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is I do miss that part of having a job with benefits and that type of thing, but
Exactly. When they like shove something up their nose and you're like, can I get this out myself or do we
uh,
really have to go to
do I
urgent
have
care?
to pay for this? I
Exactly. Is
can't do
this
it.
really a
Yeah,
$600 booger or can I get it
yeah,
out myself? The
yeah.
things you now, did y'all do that, like, intentionally? Did you just get to the point in your career where you were like, "I need, like, help," and it might be you, or did you like? Because when I was, thinking about you, I was thinking about, this quote, I guess the guy's name is, like, Hernan Cortez, where he, like,
Mhm.
burned the ships. Like, he got there, they were gonna fight, and it was like, well, if they left the ships and they had that way to, like, get back if they needed to, but he was like, "You know what? Burn the ships." Like,
Yeah.
we don't have a way back. Like, we either, like, kick their asses
Yeah.
or we get our asses kicked. Do you, like, feel that way? Like
I do. It's interesting because we tried for years to create the life we have now. I mean, like a lot of people who have followed my story. I mean, it took me 15 years just to get to a point where I could quit my day job. So I've been on like the slow road my entire life with this. But Andy, my husband, and I tried for years to try to set something up where we had a more creative lifestyle, and maybe it was my art supporting what we're doing, and it just always flopped. We tried to move away from Southern California to the Oregon coast where we live now, and it just kept flopping for many, many years and scenarios. And something clicked in my business that I was building, that enabled me to step away. But then we started making the kind of income where it was like, well, why Andy doesn't need to work anymore? Like he could leave. Why would we? He was miserable. Why would he stay working at an engineering job 13-hour days stuck in traffic when we could now afford to bring him home? And then that all coincided with getting pregnant and having my daughter, and it was like I don't even like I always look back and go, what happened? Can we recreate this over and over again in other areas of our life? And I don't know if it's, I believe in luck. I believe in timing. I also believe in hard work and all those things coming together. And something just clicked and we left it all. Like we left Southern California. We live in a small town on the Oregon coast. This supports our family. My husband works for me now and raises our daughter, and we homeschool her. So I don't know. I wish I knew, like, we even look back and go, how did we do this? This is crazy. Like, how did this happen? But I think it was like the timing of growth and guts. Like there was growth in my business and we were just like, screw it. Let's do it. It's making sense. If we don't jump now, we're not ever
Right.
going to do it. So we probably had other intentions. Like when we did it, we thought we'll give it a couple years. And if we both need to go back and get jobs somewhere, we'll do it. We don't mind. But it's done so well that we haven't needed to even think that way. It's just lots of moments of pressure where it's like, oh man, let's get ahead, or Alyssa's working so much. We need to figure out a way to take a vacation, or those types of things but talk about first world problems, like
Well,
Alyssa
yeah.
needs to take a
And
vacation.
everybody, I mean, even if you weren't
Yeah.
an artist,
Yeah.
even if you were a day trader,
Yeah.
you'd go through those like feelings of like, oh, I'm working too much and this and that. And
Yeah. But at this point, there is no turning back. The ships have been burned for sure.
I mean, once you live the life of no pantyhose full time, it's real hard to go
I
back
know.
to
And
setting an alarm.
I say it all the time. You just can't put the genie back in the bottle when you have tasted your dream. Like this was always my dream. And when you get a taste of it and you know what it's like on the other side, like I was so uncomfortable in a normal job. Not that it's okay for other people, but for me, it just felt so uncomfortable. And now that I'm on the other side and I've tasted my dream, I can't go back. I can't put it back in
Uh-uh.
the bottle. So
No, you can't.
our whole family, probably the three of us, feel that way too. Like it would be really hard for one of us to go get a job outside the home at this point and change things up. I mean, we could do it, but I will work as hard as I need to work to continue to have this kind of life. And it's a lot of work. It's a ton of work.
Even like sometimes my husband will threaten me like, do you need to go get an extra job and go get a job? I'm like, oh my gosh, like what? No, of course not. Like, I don't even know what a resume looks like anymore. I'm just like, there's still cover letters. Like, well, how do you do this? Like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't even know, like,
Yeah.
step one. Like, I wouldn't even know what to put as my credentials. Like, knows how to plug in a glue gun. Like, I don't even know anymore. Like, I'm unqualified for the real world.
Yeah. Yeah. But we're all working just as hard, if not harder at times. I mean, I know I work harder now than I did in the jobs I had. I mean, I look back and went, my gosh, I was not working hard at all in those desk jobs.
Oh my God. I mean, and how many times do you look back and you're like, dang, like for something that I could just be like done at 5 and like come home and just like not have to think about it? Because those are the kinds of things too that people don't think about. The fact that business is all that you think about all the time. Like it doesn't, like, especially if you work out of your home, like it doesn't turn off.
Yeah. It's 24/7 everywhere you go, even on vacation, even on a day off. It's really hard to shut something off in your brain. Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard.
Those pom-poms aren't going to make themselves.
Somebody's
got to do it.
Oh
all right.
God.
Well, I won't keep you all day, but we have to wrap up with my question I ask everybody, which is, do they have queso on the Oregon coast? And if so, where would we go?
Oh my gosh. I don't
Oh, the
think
pause.
so.
There's the dreaded pause of like no queso, and that means I can never live in Oregon.
I mean, I saw your Instagram. Did you put a picture of that Siete cashew queso?
I did. It keeps coming up. Several people have mentioned it.
I love that stuff. So we've got that. It's really good too.
You know what? I'm on my life's mission is to make them like my podcast sponsor. Like, I think they like need to, I think it would be like the perfect podcast sponsor. I also want to get jars of it and send it to all my guests as a thank you. So you may be getting a jar of cashew queso oh gosh, that's a tongue twister. Cashew queso. There it is.
It's really good. We have that, but no, we don't have real true queso on the Oregon coast. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
I
Well,
know, I'm
I could
sorry
also
too.
send you a block of Velveeta and a can of
That's true.
Rotel.
That's true.
So don't you worry your pretty little head, and then you could do like mixed media painting with queso cheese.
I would do it.
We'll work it into your repertoire. I can make it happen for you.
I would do it. I would do it.
And I don't doubt it at all. Well, thank you so much for spending time and talking art and creative careers with me this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It's fun.
Yeah,
It's fun catching up.
Can you imagine having 90 online classes as a form of passive income? All someone has to do is click, buy, download, and they are off to being inspired and creating. And I also love how Alisa talked about how she tries to keep her prices low so that anyone could take these classes, and not to mention all that free content she has out there. I mean, her YouTube channel alone is full of fun, cool, inspiring stuff. All right, it can seem daunting to get started, but I know I feel a little bit better about going down that video production rabbit hole than before I talked to Alisa. Hopefully you do too. So be sure to check out Alisa all the places, but especially, go to alisaburke.com and at Alisa Burke on Instagram. I have always been a huge fan of her work and her style, and I promise you will too. Okay, I'll have full show notes over on creativequeso.com as always, but while you're there, be sure to check out this week's Taco About It Tuesday interview with perfumer Jessica Hanna. I know, perfumer. How exciting is that? Jessica and I met at Craftcation when we were both on a panel about creativity. Not only does Jessica make and sell her own scents via her website, jessicahanna.com, she also teaches workshops up and down the West Coast where you can learn to make your own natural perfumes. Jessica, if you're listening, take that show on the road, because I know a few people here in Austin that would love to take the class. And also, I'm trying so hard not to talk about how her business model is sensational. See, I did it. I couldn't stop. Couldn't help myself. Anyway, go read the full interview with Jessica Hanna over at creativequeso.com. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And also, go back through those Creative Queso archives. There is some good stuff. If video is your thing, be sure to check out episodes like the one with my buddy Vicky Howe, who kickstarted over $80,000 to launch her own YouTube series, The Knit Show. Or how about my chat with top Skillshare instructor, watercolor artist, Anna Victoria Calderon. Or another personal favorite, my little chit chat with Andrew and Dennis of the Crafty Lumberjacks, who also host a digital series for HGTV, Handmade. So if you've got video on the brain, people, I got you covered in the archives. Thank you again to Alisa Burke for stopping by and hanging out, my producer Mariah Gossett, and the music man Chris Beck. And as always, thank you to you for hanging out and listening. You can find me at creativequeso.com, where you can sign up for my newsletter, or on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the places at Creative Queso. And I'll see y'all next week, same time, same place.